Imagine a scream tearing through the darkness of creation as a father devours his own children. Now, imagine a hidden infant destined to rise from the shadows, gather an army, and wage a war so massive it would literally shake the universe to its foundations. This is no ordinary king, this is Zeus. He is the god who fought a cosmic battle against his monstrous father, who hurled blazing thunderbolts to defeat giants, and who carved the very heavens as his throne. But he's also the god who descended to earth in countless disguises. As a swan, a bull, even a shower of gold, all for the sake of forbidden love. His passions were as wild as his storms, his power as vast as the sky itself. Tonight, we delve into the extraordinary, often unbelievable life of Zeus, the ultimate ruler of Mount Olympus. From his miraculous escape from a terrifying prophecy to his rise as the supreme commander of gods and mortals, we'll explore his epic battles, his complex family, and the wild, often surprising things he did that shaped the ancient world. Let the majestic story of this mighty god guide you gently to fall asleep. To truly understand Zeus, the mighty king of Olympus, we must first journey back to a terrifying time before his reign, a time when the universe was ruled by his powerful but fearful father, the Titan king Cronus. Cronus was one of the original Titans, the colossal elder gods, born from the very first beings, Gaia, Mother Earth, and Uranus, Father Sky. He was strong, ambitious, and had risen to power by a violent act. He had overthrown and castrated his own father Uranus to become the supreme ruler of the cosmos. But violence and fear often repeat themselves. Just as Cronus had overthrown his father, he was haunted by a terrible prophecy. The fates, those mysterious weavers of destiny, or perhaps his dying father Uranus, foretold that Cronus himself would one day be overthrown by one of his own children. This prophecy filled Cronus with a chilling dread, a fear so immense that it twisted his heart and clouded his judgment. He became consumed by paranoia, determined to prevent his downfall at any cost. His solution was horrifyingly simple and utterly cruel. As his wife Rhea gave birth to each of their children, Cronus would immediately swallow them whole. One by one, 5 powerful divine beings: Hades, god of the underworld; Poseidon, god of the sea; Hera, goddess of marriage; Hestia, goddess of the hearth; and Demeter, goddess of grain and harvest, disappeared into their father's enormous belly, trapped but still immortal. They were alive inside him, growing, but prisoners of his fear. Cronus believed that by doing this he had cheated fate, making sure that no child of his could ever rise against him. But Rhea, their mother, was filled with unbearable grief and desperation. She loved her children fiercely, and her heart broke each time Cronus devoured another one. She suffered in silence, watching her offspring vanish into the abyss of her husband's belly. When she became pregnant with her 6th child, she vowed that this one, at least, would be saved. She could not bear to lose another. When the time came for her to give birth to her youngest son, Rhea sought help from her own parents, Gaia, Mother Earth, and Uranus, Father Sky, who felt pity for her plight. They helped her devise a cunning plan to trick Cronus. Rhea traveled in secret to the island of Crete, or, in some stories, to a hidden cave in Arcadia, a rugged and wild land. There, away from Cronus's watchful eyes, she gave birth to her 6th child, a strong and healthy infant boy named Zeus. The birth was hidden, a secret whispered only among those loyal to Rhea and the future of the cosmos. After Zeus was born, Rhea wrapped a large stone in baby clothes. It looked exactly like a swaddled infant. She then returned to Cronus, presenting him with the bundle. Cronus, unsuspecting in his paranoia and eagerness to continue his grim ritual, swallowed the stone without a second thought, believing he had devoured his 6th child and secured his reign forever. He let out a sigh of relief, unaware of the powerful deception that had just taken place. Meanwhile, young Zeus was kept hidden and safe on Crete. He was raised in secret, protected by loyal nymphs and powerful guardians. The nymphs, Adrasteia and Ida, became his caregivers, tending to his needs with love and devotion. They fed him with the sweet milk of the divine goat, Amaltheia, who nourished him with strength and vitality. The honey from sacred bees also sustained him. To prevent Cronus from hearing the baby's cries, Rhea had appointed a group of fierce, armored warriors called the Curetes. Whenever baby Zeus cried, the Curetes would clash their spears against their shields, dancing wildly and making a tremendous din. Their loud, rhythmic noise drowned out the infant's cries, ensuring that Cronus remained completely unaware that his prophesied downfall was growing stronger each day, hidden in plain sight. Zeus grew quickly, nourished by divine milk and protected by loyal guardians. He was strong, brave, and intelligent, filled with a power that hinted at his true destiny. He was not swallowed by his father, he was spared, a secret hope for a new age. This hidden childhood gave him time to mature, to understand the tyranny of his father, and to gather his own strength, preparing him for the monumental task that lay ahead, to challenge Cronus, free his siblings, and claim his rightful place as the king of the gods. The universe was about to witness a dramatic shift in power, a revolution that would redefine the very order of creation. As Zeus grew into a powerful young god, hidden away in the caves of Crete, he was keenly aware of the injustice perpetrated by his father, Cronus. He knew his siblings were imprisoned within Cronus's belly, and he felt the weight of the prophecy that foretold his destiny to overthrow the tyrannical Titan king. The time for action was approaching, and Zeus, with his sharp mind and growing strength, began to plan his rebellion. His first crucial step was to find a way to free his swallowed siblings. He sought the help of Metis, the goddess of wisdom and cunning, who was known for her shrewd intelligence. Metis was the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys, powerful titans who had remained neutral during Uranus's overthrow. Some myths say Metis was Zeus's first wife, even before Hera. Whatever their relationship, Metis provided Zeus with a clever solution. A powerful emetic, a special potion designed to make Cronus throw up. Disguising himself, or through the subtle aid of Metis, Zeus managed to get a job as Cronus's cupbearer. With trembling hands, yet a determined heart, he served his unsuspecting father a drink mixed with Metis' powerful potion. Cronus, oblivious to the trick, drank it down. Soon the potion took effect. Cronus was overcome with violent retching, and from his enormous mouth, one by one, he vomited up all 5 of his swallowed children, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter. They emerged fully grown and powerful, having been immortal within their father's stomach, now ready to fight for their freedom and a new cosmic order. Their anger at Cronus and their loyalty to Zeus was absolute. This act, the freeing of his siblings, sparked the greatest conflict the universe had ever known. The Titanomachy, the war between the old generation of Titans and the new generation of Olympian gods. It was not just a battle for power, it was a battle for the very future of the cosmos. For 10 long, brutal years, the war raged. The universe itself trembled. Mountains were torn from their foundations, thrown as weapons. The seas boiled with cosmic fury. The sky was filled with clashing energies, lightning, and dark clouds. Zeus led his siblings, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, into this epic conflict. But he also gathered powerful allies to his side. Prometheus, as we learned, Prometheus, with his unique foresight, had seen that Zeus was destined to win. He and his mother, Themis, goddess of divine law and justice, wisely chose to side with the Olympians. Prometheus provided invaluable strategic advice and cunning plans that helped Zeus in the war. The Hecatoncheires, these were the monstrous 100-handed giants, sons of Uranus and Gaia, whom Cronus had imprisoned in Tartarus due to their terrifying appearance. Zeus, seeing their immense strength, released them. They were loyal to Zeus and proved to be formidable allies, using their 100 hands to hurl massive boulders with incredible speed and force at the Titans. The Cyclops. These were also sons of Uranus and Gaia, one-eyed giants whom Cronus had imprisoned. Zeus freed them too. In gratitude, the Cyclops, master blacksmiths, forged Zeus his most iconic weapon, the thunderbolt. They also crafted Hades' cap of darkness, helmet of invisibility, and Poseidon's trident. The Titans, led by Cronus, fought fiercely, demonstrating their raw ancient power. But they lacked the cunning, the unity, and the strategic brilliance that Zeus and his allies possessed. Zeus, wielding his newly forged thunderbolts, became an unstoppable force. Each lightning bolt he hurled was an explosion of divine energy, tearing through the cosmos, striking down titans, and shaking the very foundations of reality. He unleashed storms of fire and lightning, driving the titans back. After 10 grueling years, the Olympians finally triumphed. It was a decisive, overwhelming victory. The defeated titans, including Cronus, were rounded up and, with immense force, cast into Tartarus, the deepest, darkest pit of the underworld. Here they were imprisoned forever, guarded by the very Hecatoncheires who had helped Zeus win, ensuring they could never again threaten the new cosmic order. Prometheus's brother, Atlas, for his strength and his key role on Cronus's side, received a unique and terrible punishment. He was condemned to forever hold the vast weight of the heavens on his shoulders at the western edge of the world, a lonely, eternal sentinel. The Titanomachy was over. Zeus, the former hidden infant, was now the undisputed victor, the most powerful being in the cosmos. He had freed his siblings, defeated his tyrannical father, and established a new era. The world was now ready for the rule of the Olympians, and the next task would be to divide the vast universe among themselves, setting the stage for the magnificent and sometimes tumultuous reign of Zeus as the supreme king of gods and men. With the Titanomachy finally over, a new era began for the universe. The old order of the Titans had been violently overthrown, and the young Olympian gods stood victorious. The cosmos, once chaotic under Cronus's fearful rule, was now ripe for a new, more organized reign. But first, the 3 most powerful brothers among the Olympians, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, needed to decide who would rule which part of this vast domain. They were equals in their victory, having fought side by side against their tyrannical father. To avoid further conflict and to establish a fair and just division of power, they agreed to draw lots. This ancient method, based on chance and accepted by divine law, would decide their individual realms. It was a moment of immense importance, shaping the very structure of the cosmos for all eternity. They took 3 lots, symbols of their power, and shook them in a helmet. The first lot drawn determined the ruler of the heavens, the second, the seas, and the third, the shadowy underworld. When the lots were drawn, the sky and the heavens fell to Zeus. This was fitting, as he was the king of the gods, the wielder of the thunderbolt, and the most powerful of the 3. His domain stretched above all, encompassing the clouds, the storms, and the distant stars. He would rule from his magnificent palace high on Mount Olympus, the tallest peak in Greece, a place forever shrouded in clouds and divine light, untouched by mortal concerns. The seas and all waters fell to Poseidon. With his mighty trident, he would command the oceans, the rivers, the lakes, and the springs. He would stir up storms or calm the waves, cause earthquakes that shook the land, and oversee all marine life. His palace, built of glittering coral and precious gems, lay deep beneath the waves. The underworld, the gloomy realm of the dead, fell to Hades. He would rule over the shades of mortals who had passed on, overseeing the punishment of the wicked and the peaceful rest of the virtuous. His kingdom was hidden beneath the earth, a vast and silent domain that few living beings dared to enter. While each brother held absolute power over his own realm, the earth itself remained common ground, a shared territory that all 3 could visit and influence. This meant that gods from all realms would interact with mortals and the land. leading to many of the famous myths we know. With their domains established, the Olympian gods settled into their magnificent palace on Mount Olympus. This was not just a mountain, it was a divine city, a place of gleaming marble halls, golden thrones, and endless feasts. It was the heart of the new cosmos, where the will of Zeus was supreme, and the other gods gathered to deliberate, celebrate, and sometimes to quarrel. The Olympian pantheon was thus officially established. It consisted of the 12 main gods and goddesses who would oversee the universe. Zeus, king of the gods, ruler of sky and thunder, dispenser of justice. Hera, queen of the gods, goddess of marriage and childbirth, Zeus's often jealous wife. Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. Demeter, goddess of agriculture, harvest, and sacred law. Hestia, goddess of the hearth and home, though she later gave up her seat for Dionysus. Hades, lord of the underworld, though he rarely visited Olympus and was often considered separate from the main 12. And their children who also held immense power, Athena, goddess of wisdom, strategic warfare, and crafts born from Zeus's head. Apollo, god of music, poetry, light, healing, and archery. Artemis, goddess of the hunt, wild animals, and the moon, Apollo's twin. Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and procreation, born from sea foam. Hephaestus, god of fire, metalworking, and craftsman, born of Hera alone, or by Zeus and Hera. Hermes, messenger of the gods, god of travelers, trade, and thieves. Dionysus, god of wine, revelry, madness, and ecstasy. These gods and goddesses, with Zeus at their head, formed the ruling council of the cosmos. Their roles were distinct yet intertwined, creating a complex and often dramatic family dynamic that would shape the myths of mortals for centuries to come. Zeus, as their king, would enforce laws, punish the wicked, and sometimes interfere in the lives of mortals in ways both grand and surprisingly personal. His reign would be long, powerful, and full of both majesty and controversy. With the cosmos finally divided and the Olympian pantheon established, Zeus took his rightful place as the supreme ruler, the undisputed king of the gods. His throne on Mount Olympus was the highest, a symbol of his absolute authority over both immortals and mortals. It was his duty to maintain order, ensure justice, and enforce the cosmic laws that governed the universe. Zeus's power was immense, unmatched by any other god. He commanded the very elements of the sky. His most iconic and fearsome weapon was the thunderbolt, forged for him by the Cyclops in gratitude for their release from Tartarus. Imagine a bolt of pure, blazing energy crackling with raw power, capable of striking down foes, shattering mountains, or igniting the sky. When Zeus wielded his thunderbolt, the heavens trembled, and the very air vibrated with his wrath. Its flash was lightning, its sound was thunder, a terrifying display of his cosmic might. He also had a magnificent eagle, a powerful bird with keen eyes, as his personal messenger and symbol. This eagle often carried his thunderbolts and represented his far-reaching gaze and swift judgment. As the king, Zeus's primary role was to uphold cosmic order and justice. He was the ultimate judge, overseeing the actions of both gods and mortals. He strove to prevent chaos and ensure that balance was maintained throughout the universe. While he was capable of great wrath, his intentions were often to enforce what he considered right and just. He was the one who decided the outcomes of many disputes, punished transgressions against divine law, and ensured that prophecies were fulfilled, even if through indirect means. One of the most sacred laws Zeus enforced was xenia, the ancient Greek concept of hospitality. This was a fundamental rule of civilization, demanding that hosts treat guests with respect and generosity, and that guests, in turn, respect their hosts. Zeus was the supreme protector of xenia, and those who violated it faced his terrible wrath. For example, The Cyclops Polyphemus in Odysseus' story faced Poseidon's anger partly because he violated Xenia, though Zeus also punished such acts. Zeus also held power over oaths sworn by gods and mortals. An oath sworn by Zeus or by the river Styx, which even the gods swore by, was unbreakable, and breaking such an oath would incur his gravest punishment. This made him the guarantor of promises and agreements throughout the cosmos. Zeus also had a complex relationship with fate and prophecy. While even he could not completely overrule the fates, he often manipulated events and intervened in the lives of gods and mortals to ensure the prophecies were either fulfilled or, if they threatened his own power, subtly redirected. He had a deep understanding of destiny and used his vast power to guide the course of events according to the cosmic plan, even if that plan sometimes led to suffering for mortals. He was a king who ruled with an iron fist wrapped in a velvet glove. His presence alone could inspire awe and fear. When he spoke, the other gods listened. When he decreed, the universe obeyed. He established the rules of sacrifice, ensuring that gods received their due from mortals, but also ensuring that mortals had a way to honor the divine. He was a distant, yet ever-present force in the lives of all beings, a king who defined the very meaning of power and sovereignty in the ancient Greek world. His reign marked a new age, an age of Olympian order, but one that would still be filled with his own dramatic decisions, his complex relationships, and his famous interventions in the affairs of both gods and men. The complexities of Zeus's reign, marriages, and divine family. While Zeus was the undisputed king, his reign was far from simple or peaceful. His personal life, particularly his many marriages and relationships, created endless drama and conflict on Mount Olympus. These complexities, however, often played a crucial role in the wider myths, leading to the birth of many famous heroes and gods and shaping the destiny of both mortals and immortals. Zeus's most important and enduring marriage was to his sister, Hera. She was the queen of the gods, goddess of marriage and childbirth, and a powerful deity in her own right. Their union was meant to symbolize the stability and sacredness of marriage, especially among the gods. However, their relationship was famously stormy and filled with conflict, primarily due to Zeus's endless affairs. Hera was intensely jealous and vengeful, constantly seeking to punish Zeus's lovers and their offspring. This divine drama often spilled over into the mortal world, causing immense suffering for those caught in their divine quarrels. Despite the turmoil, their marriage, in its own way, represented the bedrock of the Olympian family. Together, Zeus and Hera had several children: Ares, the brutal and savage god of war, known for his love of bloodshed; Hephaestus, the skilled blacksmith god, god of fire and craftsmanship, born lame, though some myths say Hera bore him alone out of spite; Hebe, the goddess of youth and cupbearer to the gods. But Hera's fury often stemmed from Zeus's many other relationships, both with goddesses and mortals. These affairs were not always about love. Sometimes they were driven by desire or by Zeus's strategic plans to bring forth powerful new gods or heroes. These relationships led to a vast and diverse divine family. Let's delve into a few of his most famous affairs and their surprising consequences, which often involved elaborate disguises and Hera's relentless vengeance. Io and the white heifer. One of Zeus's earliest and most tragic mortal lovers was Io, a beautiful princess and priestess of Hera. Zeus desired her, and to hide his affair from Hera, he transformed Io into a beautiful white heifer, cow. However, Hera immediately suspected the trick. She demanded the cow as a gift, and Zeus, unable to refuse, gave her Io. Hera then set the 100-eyed giant Argus Panoptes to guard Io, ensuring Zeus couldn't visit her. When Zeus sent Hermes to slay Argus and free Io, Hera's fury knew no bounds. She sent a relentless gadfly to sting and torment Io continuously, driving the poor heifer in a maddened frenzy across the entire ancient world, from Greece to Egypt, until she finally found peace much later. This story highlights Hera's relentless jealousy and the suffering inflicted upon Zeus's innocent lovers, Europa and the White Bull. Zeus was captivated by Europa, a Phoenician princess of extraordinary beauty. To approach her without arousing suspicion, he transformed himself into a magnificent, gentle white bull, so beautiful that Europa was drawn to him. He frolicked playfully in her father's meadows, and when Europa, charmed by his docility, climbed onto his back, he suddenly rushed into the sea and swam across the vast ocean to the island of Crete. There he revealed his true divine form, and they lay together. Europa gave birth to several famous sons, including Minos, who would become the legendary king of Crete. This myth is famous for the disguise Zeus took and for the geographical connection it implies with the continent of Europe. Danae and the shower of gold. Another of Zeus's lovers was Danae, a princess of Argos. Her father, King Acrisius, had received a prophecy that his grandson would kill him. To prevent this, he locked Danae away in a bronze tower or subterranean chamber, believing she could never conceive. But Zeus, desiring Danae, found a way. He transformed himself into a shower of golden rain which flowed through the cracks in the tower's roof or walls, impregnating Danae. From this union, the hero Perseus was born, destined to eventually, and accidentally, fulfill the prophecy by killing his grandfather. This tale showcases Zeus's ability to overcome any obstacle for his desires and the power of fate. Semele and the divine form. Zeus fell deeply in love with the mortal princess Semele. He visited her frequently, but always in disguise, usually as a mortal man. Semele's sisters, envious or Hera, disguised as an old nurse, planted seeds of doubt in Semele's mind, suggesting that her lover might not be Zeus, or that he was ashamed of his true form. Driven by curiosity and a desire for proof, Semele eventually begged Zeus to reveal himself to her in his full divine glory. Zeus, who had promised her anything by the sacred river Styx, knew this would be her undoing, as no mortal could behold a god's true form and live. Reluctantly, he revealed himself in all his thunderous majesty, and Semele was immediately consumed by fire and light. However, Zeus saved their unborn child Dionysus by sewing him into his own thigh until he was ready to be born. This myth highlights Zeus's divine power, the danger of mortal curiosity, and the tragic consequences of defying divine nature. Alcmene and the long night. Zeus was also drawn to Alcmene, a mortal queen. To spend time with her, he famously disguised himself as her husband, Amphitryon, who was away at war. He extended one night to last for 3, ensuring his time with her was long and undisturbed. From this union, the greatest of all Greek heroes, Heracles, was born. This affair brought immense jealousy from Hera, who became Heracles' lifelong tormentor, causing him to suffer greatly throughout his life. Beyond these well-known tales, Zeus engaged in many other liaisons, both with goddesses and nymphs, further expanding his vast divine and semi-divine progeny. He lay with Themis, the titaness of divine law and justice, who was already his wise counselor. Together they bore the Horai season's hours, who maintained order in nature and society, and Dike justice, Eunomia order, and Irene peace, who personified lawful government. This union solidified his role as the bringer of order. With Mnemosyne, the titaness of memory, Zeus fathered the 9 muses, goddesses who inspired all arts, sciences, and epic poetry. Their birth ensured that culture, knowledge, and creative expression would flourish under Olympian rule. He also had an affair with Leto, another titaness, who gave birth to the twin archers, Apollo and Artemis. Hera, in her relentless jealousy, pursued Leto across the world, forbidding her from giving birth on any solid land. Leto finally found refuge on the floating island of Delos, where Apollo and Artemis were born, destined to become major Olympian deities. One lesser-known but significant affair was with Callisto, a follower of Artemis. Zeus took the form of Artemis to seduce her. When Hera discovered Callisto's pregnancy, she furiously transformed Callisto into a bear, Years later, Callisto's son Arcas almost unknowingly killed his bear mother while hunting. To prevent this matricide, Zeus transformed both Callisto and Arcas into constellations, Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Ursa Minor, the Little Bear, forever placing them in the night sky. The beautiful Trojan prince Ganymede also caught Zeus's eye. Zeus, in the form of a magnificent eagle, abducted Ganymede from Earth and brought him to Olympus to serve as his cupbearer, replacing Hebe. This act caused great offense to Hera, who despised the presence of a mortal youth on Olympus, especially one favored by Zeus. These myriad relationships, while a source of endless drama for Hera, were crucial to the fabric of Greek mythology. They demonstrated Zeus's boundless potency, his ability to transcend boundaries, mortal, immortal, land, sky, and his strategic foresight in ensuring the continuation and diversification of the divine lineage. Each union, whether brief or lasting, contributed to the vast family tree of gods, heroes, and mythological creatures that filled the ancient world with stories. The dynamic between Zeus's desires and Hera's vengeful pursuits formed a significant and often tragic undertone to the majesty of his reign. As the supreme ruler of both gods and mortals, Zeus was not a distant figure who simply sat on his throne on Mount Olympus. He often intervened directly in the lives of humans, sometimes to punish, sometimes to aid, and always to ensure the cosmic order was upheld or his own will was carried out. His interventions frequently served as powerful lessons about justice, piety, and the dangers of human hubris, that excessive pride or disrespect towards the gods. One of Zeus's primary roles was to punish transgressions against divine law. Mortals who dared to defy the gods, who were excessively proud, or who committed acts of great wickedness, often faced his terrible wrath. A famous example is Lycaon, the king of Arcadia. Zeus, disguised as a mortal, visited Lycaon to test his piety. Lycaon, being arrogant and impious, tried to trick Zeus by serving him human flesh during a feast to see if he was truly a god. Zeus, recognizing the horrific act, was enraged. He transformed Lycaon into a wolf, condemning him to a life of savage bloodlust, a fitting punishment for his monstrous crime. This myth serves as a warning against disrespecting the gods and violating sacred hospitality. Another example is Salmoneus, a king from Thessaly. Salmoneus, in his arrogance, tried to imitate Zeus by driving his chariot through his city, throwing torches into the air, and dragging bronze cauldrons behind his horses to mimic thunder and lightning. He claimed to be Zeus himself. Furious at this blasphemous display, Zeus struck him down with a genuine thunderbolt, sending him straight to Tartarus for eternal punishment. This shows Zeus's swift and unforgiving retribution for those who dared to challenge his divine authority or mock his power. However, Zeus was not only a punisher. He also frequently aided heroes, particularly those who were his own offspring with mortal women or those he favored. His help could be subtle, like sending a favorable wind, or direct, like providing divine guidance or even physical intervention. Heracles, his son with the mortal Alcmene, was perhaps the greatest recipient of his aid. Zeus often intervened to protect Heracles from Hera's jealous wrath, or to help him succeed in his impossible labors. His divine favor was crucial to Heracles' many triumphs. Perseus, his son with Danae, whom Zeus visited as a shower of gold, also received Zeus's indirect protection and divine assistance in his quest to slay Medusa and rescue Andromeda. Even Odysseus, though not his son, was a favored mortal hero. While Poseidon cursed Odysseus for blinding Polyphemus, Zeus eventually decreed that Odysseus should return home, and Athena, Zeus's favored daughter, actively worked to ensure his safe return, often with Zeus's blessing or direct commands. Zeus would sometimes send omens like thunderclaps to signal his approval or disapproval of events. Zeus's influence was also central to grander mortal events such as the Trojan War. While many gods took sides in this immense conflict, Zeus's role was paramount. He did not directly fight, but he often influenced the course of battles, shifting the tide of war with a nod of his head or by sending signs and omens. His ultimate goal in the Trojan War, according to some myths, was to reduce the swollen human population and to glorify certain heroes, while also ensuring that fate, as he understood it, was fulfilled. He allowed Troy to fall, even though it was a city favored by some gods, because its destruction was part of the larger divine plan and the unfolding of destiny. His decisions, though seemingly arbitrary at times, often moved events towards their fated conclusions. Beyond the specific instances of punishment and aid, Zeus also shaped humanity's destiny through broader interventions, often related to themes of justice and renewal. The Great Flood, Lycaon and Pyrrha. At one point, Zeus grew utterly disgusted with the wickedness and impiety of humankind. He saw that mortals had become corrupt, violent, and disrespectful towards the gods, a problem that worsened after the Age of Bronze. To cleanse the earth of this corruption, he decided to send a devastating great flood to wipe out humanity. Only 2 virtuous individuals were spared, Deucalion, the son of Prometheus, and his wife Pyrrha. Warned by Prometheus, or Themis, they built a large wooden chest or ark and survived the deluge. After the flood receded, Zeus instructed them to throw the bones of their mother behind them. Understanding this cryptic message meant stones of Gaia. They threw stones over their shoulders, and these stones miraculously transformed into new humans, repopulating the earth. This act demonstrated Zeus's capacity for catastrophic judgment, but also his eventual allowance for humanity's renewal, albeit with a new, stronger, and more resilient generation. Philemon and Baucis, the power of Xenia. This heartwarming story perfectly illustrates Zeus's dedication to Xenia, hospitality, a law he deeply valued. Zeus, disguised as an old man, accompanied by Hermes, also disguised, traveled through the mortal world, seeking shelter. Many wealthy homes turned them away, showing disrespect. Finally, they came upon a humble, poor cottage belonging to an elderly couple, Philemon and Baucis. Despite their poverty, Philemon and Baucis welcomed the strangers with open arms, sharing their meager food and wine generously, showing immense kindness and piety. When the gods revealed their true identities, they punished the disrespectful villagers by flooding their lands. But they spared Philemon and Baucis. Their humble cottage was transformed into a magnificent temple, and the couple was granted their wish to serve as its priests and to die together. When their time came, they were transformed into 2 intertwined trees, an oak and a linden, standing side by side. This tale served as a powerful lesson that true piety and hospitality, not wealth, earn divine favor. These broader interventions underscore Zeus's complex role, not just a thunder-hurling king, but a cosmic enforcer of morality, a bringer of both destruction and renewal, constantly interacting with and shaping the destiny of the mortal world according to his own vast and sometimes inscrutable will. Even as the supreme ruler of the cosmos, Zeus's reign was not without its challenges. His power was immense, but it was constantly tested, sometimes by other powerful gods, sometimes by monstrous beings, and even by the mysterious force of fate itself. These challenges only served to prove his strength and cunning, ultimately cementing his position as the unshakable king of Olympus. One of the most significant challenges came from within his own divine family. Despite his absolute power, Zeus faced rebellions and conspiracies from other gods who sometimes resented his authority or his actions, especially his many affairs. His wife, Hera, was a constant source of opposition, often openly defying him or secretly plotting against his mortal lovers and their offspring. Her jealousy and vengefulness led to many conflicts on Olympus. At one point, a bold conspiracy was formed to overthrow Zeus. Hera, along with Poseidon, who often chafed under Zeus's rule despite being his brother, and Athena, Surprisingly, as she was usually his favorite daughter, but perhaps frustrated by his rashness, conspired against him. They managed to bind Zeus in unbreakable chains while he slept, hoping to strip him of his power. This was a moment of immense vulnerability for the king of the gods. However, their plot was quickly foiled by the timely intervention of Thetis, the sea nymph, mother of Achilles, who brought the powerful Hecatoncheires, Briareus, to free Zeus. This event showed that even the most powerful god could be momentarily vulnerable, but his ultimate authority was quickly reasserted. Zeus punished the conspirators, hanging Hera from the heavens and warning the others against further defiance. Beyond the internal squabbles of Olympus, Zeus also faced formidable threats from monstrous beings unleashed from the depths of the earth. The most terrifying of these was Typhon. Gaia, Mother Earth, angered by the imprisonment of the Titans in Tartarus, created Typhon as a final, monstrous challenge to Zeus's rule. Typhon was a truly terrifying creature, a gigantic monster with 100 snake heads, eyes that flashed fire, and a voice that could mimic any sound, from the roar of a bull to the hiss of a serpent. He was a force of pure chaos, designed to destroy the Olympian order. The other Olympian gods were so terrified of Typhon that they fled from Olympus, transforming themselves into animals and seeking refuge in Egypt. Only Zeus, with his courage and immense power, stood firm against this ultimate threat. The battle between Zeus and Typhon was epic, shaking the very foundations of the cosmos. Zeus unleashed his thunderbolts with furious might, striking Typhon again and again. Typhon, in turn, wounded Zeus, tearing out his sinews, tendons, and imprisoning him in a cave. But Hermes and Aegipan eventually recovered Zeus's sinews and restored his strength. Renewed, Zeus pursued Typhon relentlessly. He finally defeated the monster by crushing him under Mount Etna, or Mount Etna, a volcano that forever spews fire and smoke, a sign of Typhon's imprisoned fury beneath. Zeus's triumph over Typhon solidified his position as the supreme, unchallengeable ruler of the cosmos, proving that he could overcome even the most monstrous forces. Another significant challenge came in the form of the Gigantomachy, the war against the giants. These were another set of monstrous beings born from Gaia, sometimes after the Titanomachy, who sought to challenge the Olympian gods. They were immense, powerful, and each one a match for a god. A prophecy stated that the giants could only be defeated if a mortal fought alongside the gods. Zeus again led the Olympians into battle, aided by his mortal son Heracles. This war was another fierce struggle, but with the combined might of the gods and the strength of Heracles, the giants were eventually defeated and imprisoned beneath the earth, many becoming the cause of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. Even with all his power, there was one force that Zeus could not entirely overrule, the Fates, Moirai. These three ancient goddesses, Clotho, who spins the thread of life, Lachesis, who measures its length, and Atropos, who cuts it short, controlled the destiny of every being, mortal and immortal alike. While Zeus was the king of the gods and responsible for cosmic order, he often worked within the bounds set by the Fates, or sometimes manipulated events to align with them. He was powerful, but not entirely beyond the weave of destiny itself. This subtle limitation added a layer of complexity to his rule, showing that even supreme power had its boundaries. Through all these challenges, internal rebellions, and external monstrous threats, Zeus emerged victorious, proving his supreme power and his unwavering control over the Olympian order. These epic struggles defined his reign, shaping the myths and beliefs of the ancient Greeks and establishing him as the eternal, thunderous king of the universe. His story is one of ultimate triumph over chaos and opposition, forever cementing his place at the pinnacle of divine power. Zeus's story is not just a tale of power and battles. It is a fundamental narrative that deeply shaped the ancient Greek world and continues to influence our understanding of authority, justice, and destiny. As the supreme ruler of Mount Olympus, Zeus became the ultimate archetype of the father god, the patriarchal figure who governed both the divine and mortal realms. His reign set the standard for leadership, even if his personal actions often complicated that image. His symbolism was profound and widespread. The thunderbolt, his iconic weapon, represented not only his raw destructive power, but also his ability to enforce cosmic law with swift and unchallengeable force. It was the ultimate tool of divine retribution and a clear sign of his supreme might. His magnificent eagle, soaring high above all other creatures, symbolized his majestic nature, his far-reaching vision, and his unparalleled dominion over the sky and all things within it. He was seen as the watchful eye of the heavens, observing all, and from whom nothing could be truly hidden. Zeus's myths had an enormous influence on Greek society. He was revered as the guarantor of justice, Dike, and order, Themis. While human laws and customs existed, they were believed to derive their ultimate authority from Zeus's cosmic decrees. His stories taught mortals about the consequences of hubris, excessive pride, and impiety, lack of reverence for the gods. Through his punishments of figures like Lycaon and Salmoneus, the Greeks learned that defiance of divine will or mockery of the gods would not go unpunished. His protection of xenia, hospitality, underscored the importance of treating strangers with respect, a vital social and religious custom. His myths also provided a framework for understanding the complexities of the world. The changing weather, the violent storms, the fertile rains, all were attributed to Zeus's mood and power. His various affairs, though scandalous by human standards, led to the birth of many influential heroes and lesser gods who connected the divine realm more directly to mortal affairs, blurring the lines between the two worlds. These stories filled temples, inspired poets, and were central to the daily lives and beliefs of the Greeks. Beyond his direct interventions, Zeus's enduring presence was felt everywhere. He was invoked in oaths, prayed to for good fortune, and consulted through oracles. His will, though sometimes mysterious, was seen as guiding the broader currents of destiny. The very structure of the universe, with its distinct realms for sky, sea, and underworld, reflected his initial act of cosmic division. Even with his flaws, his numerous affairs, his occasional rashness, his capacity for terrible anger, Zeus remained the central pillar of Greek mythology. He embodied both overwhelming power and a sometimes unpredictable sense of justice. His stories allowed the Greeks to explore themes of power, family, morality, and fate, shaping their understanding of themselves and their place in the vast, divine cosmos. His legacy is not just a collection of tales, but a deep imprint on the cultural and philosophical foundations of the ancient world. He remains the definitive king of Olympus, whose mighty reign continues to echo through time. The story of Zeus is perhaps the most encompassing and significant in all of Greek mythology. From his miraculous escape as an infant from the terrifying fate imposed by his father Cronus to his rise as the ultimate ruler of the cosmos, Zeus represents a fundamental shift from chaos to order. He embodies supreme power, unwavering authority, and the very concept of divine justice that shaped the ancient world. We have journeyed through his titanic battles, witnessing his thunderbolts shatter the old order and establish the magnificent reign of the Olympians. We've explored the intricate family dynamics of Mount Olympus, where his numerous relationships, though often tumultuous, expanded the divine pantheon and connected the gods more intimately with the mortal realm. His interventions, whether to punish hubris or aid his favored heroes, underscored his ever-present influence on the destinies of all beings. Zeus faced immense challenges, from internal rebellions by his own siblings to monstrous threats like Typhon and the giants. Yet, through cunning, strength, and the aid of his loyal allies, he always emerged victorious, cementing his status as the unshakable king. His reign, however complex, was ultimately dedicated to maintaining cosmic balance and upholding the laws of the universe. His legacy is woven into the very fabric of Greek thought and culture. He stands as the archetype of the powerful father god, a symbol of authority, cosmic order, and the unpredictable forces of nature. His thunderbolt and eagle remain iconic symbols of ultimate power and far-reaching dominion. And so, as the thunderous tales of Zeus settle around you, may his majestic story remind you of the immense forces that govern our world, the importance of order, and the enduring power of leadership. Let the mighty reign of Zeus guide your dreams as you fall asleep, secure in the knowledge of his eternal rule.